This contemporary art commission at RAMM was originally dreamt up during the first lockdown. We offered the opportunity to Exeter-based artists to share their experience of the pandemic. We had a number of excellent submissions, and then with an independent panel, which included myself and Peter Randall Page, we selected Amy Shelton, who had developed an idea around her practice.
A lot of my work is about taking different lenses and applying them to the landscapes. It's taking these different points of view that can really help you gain insight into environmental questions, but also make work that has all of that embedded in it.
What's really fascinating about Amy's work is she actually looks to the margins and respects the tiny little marginal wildflowers and what some people might call weeds. I'm holding scarlet pimpernel here and a buttercup, and these are the kinds of flowers that she was collecting and also encouraging other people. That was very meaningful to me, that she was able to produce these wonderful packs and share those with people who were locked in their homes or only able to walk into their gardens or nearby.
My process for making this commission was to capture all of those plants that were growing from the beginning of spring, so March 21st, which coincided with lockdown, right through to the end of British summertime in October. I used the RD&E as the epicentre of the story that I wanted to tell. I wanted to invite the hospital community to contribute a flower if they wanted to this artwork. And what actually happened is I've got this kind of extraordinary snapshot of all the flowers that people contributed, many of which are dedicated to other people on their teams, and some are from patients as well. And they're a sort of thank you to the NHS and also a very personal sort of snapshot.
At the start of the pandemic, I was on some of the respiratory wards, especially overnight, and it was at a time when we didn't really know what the disease was. It was quite worrying, really, for myself possibly catching it and bringing it back to my family, but also actually just seeing patients deteriorate extremely rapidly and being basically unable to do anything other than call ITU and get them on a ventilator. And it really was like nothing else I'd ever really experienced, and a lot of my colleagues were the same. They really never experienced anything like that. When I was struggling, just sitting out in the garden, watching bees and looking at the flowers and things like that, and just that time of reflection was really very helpful.
It was incredibly stressful, incredibly busy. We were having to readjust all the time. And over that time, the hospital developed gardens like this for us to have our breaks in a COVID secure setting, but also to give us that headspace and calm away from all the stresses of the day.
Even from the perspective of PPE, it can feel quite restrictive and it can be particularly long-term. So to have the outside space and have that ability to almost physically break free from that environment has been a fantastic way to improve staff well-being.
Amy approached me and asked if staff at the hospital would be interested in becoming involved, and she gave me some of these packs. I managed the breast care unit, and so I put them in the waiting room there. I also introduced them at our team meetings across the surgery division and asked people if they wanted to collect packs, organise some walks around the site to collect flowers and engage more about the green spaces around the hospital.
Saw that it was pressing flowers and sending those in, and I thought this is really quite a nice way of documenting what's happened, and also documenting our natural world as it is currently. It's a really great idea.
I began to get sent these extraordinary samples of flowers that people have actually dedicated to their families, to loved ones. It becomes a sort of bouquet of gratitude and thanks. I've got several flowers that people have contributed that are actually from the gardens of people they love, or plants that remind people of somebody that they couldn't see, association with the garden of their mother or their father. And some of these flowers are actually memorials to people that they've lost. Together, they're almost like a sort of bouquet of flowers that are imbued with this sense of gratitude.
Around sustainability and in particular green space, there's so much related to well-being. We have a health and well-being initiative here, and some of that is focused on improving outside space and making sure that staff have adequate access to outside space. There is a proven link between green space and well-being, from the point that it can improve anxiety and depression, and it can also help with symptoms that people are suffering with in terms of long-term physical health conditions as well.
Amy's work inspires me because of the way it engages with our ecological and climate crisis. We're now living in what's called the age of the Anthropocene, and we all need to very rapidly change the way we live on the earth, starting with things like respecting wildflowers and enable the pollinators. But I think the beauty of Amy's work means that there is some hope.
From the flower that I sent in, although terrible things happen in the world, like COVID, like pandemics and things like that, the natural world is always there in the background, and actually connecting with that and working alongside it is a great way to get you through the difficult times.
With this commission, it's been an amazing source of legacy. This year has been a great year for reflection for an awful lot of people, and being able to think about things post-COVID and what that means to people is a great thing as well. So from that perspective, that legacy element has been the most exciting thing to be thinking about. And it is just that shared goal of understanding how we engage staff and what it means to have something that is through the lens of art and communication is a fantastic way to get people to think about things on a more of a deeper level.
I think this artwork will reflect the rich culture of the plants that are grown around this city, and the way perhaps that people came together to help each other and maybe reassess and rethink the importance of being outside and of nature.
I hope that people feel that there is something personal to them about it. Just like with time capsules or anything else like that, it's about contributing something of yourself to something that's bigger than you. And as we sort of transition away into a recovery away from COVID, that's going to be an important part of how we interact with each other, is trying to understand that we are more than just ourselves and we're part of something bigger.